Hey guys! So if any of you read the description of my last video, I mentioned how I want to start uploading a little bit more frequently and creating more content for you guys that can hopefully help you on your journey as well. So I have a lot of ideas for content that I want to make on this channel, and a part of it also involves you guys. If any of you guys are either just starting your process of finding your biological family, you are already in the process, or you have already found your biological family and you want to share your story, please do reach out to me and we will see how we can kind of work together on sharing your story also. I think it's super beneficial, especially those of you out there who haven't started your journey yet and just kind of get inspired and see how did it go for other people. Because as you know, my story luckily had a happy ending. Unfortunately, like I'm also mentioning in my video, this is not always the case. And maybe bringing a bit more of perspective to that, telling different stories, because I can promise you some of the stories I've heard are so different and unique. And that's something to also keep in mind. You can't just watch one video and then assume this is how it's also going to go for you. There are so many different scenarios that this plays out into. And I think it would help a lot of our other fellow adoptees to kind of realize that it can go either way. So for this video, I want to start off by helping you guys who have just started your journey or haven't even started yet but really want to start, figuring out what are the first steps to take and what do I need to keep in mind probably throughout this journey before I even initiate the process or during the whole process. First of all, I think it's super important and helpful to be in the country. So being in Korea or wherever you're adopted from. Actually, I think this is quite universal, regardless of where you are adopted from. But being in the country where they speak the language, they have access to your registry, they have all this information about your biological family. If your biological family lives in here, obviously that's not always the case. But if they do, it's super helpful to be there. Another benefit of this is also contacting the agencies. When I contacted the agency, I was doing it from my hotel room in Korea. So first of all, the cost of contacting them was zero. And also when you are in the country, you are on a limited time, right? So it's not like you're going to be there forever. You're there maybe like 2 or 3 weeks or however long you're there. I was there for 1.5 months or something. Obviously, I know that not everybody can be there for 1.5 months, but it definitely did help. They really worked hard to make it happen within that time frame. What you could do is probably contact the agency up front, have them do already a little bit of research so that when you go to Korea, that's when they're gonna arrange the meeting. You will have your first meeting with the adoption agency, see if they can tell you anything else. You give your agreement to start initiating the search for your biological parents, and then it's kind of already rolling by the time that you're there. That might help you. What I would recommend is also maybe mentioning, if you do it by email, for example, mention, I'm going to be in Korea in 2 months or whatever in this time period, and I really want to start my process. Can we set up a meeting? And maybe they can already send you some kind of documentation. So this is just part number 1. The second thing that I would really recommend is also do some mental preparation. Like I mentioned, my story was a success, but it's really not always the case. I've heard so many different stories, good and bad ones, unfortunately. And this is just something mentally you have to prepare yourself for, that I'm going to initiate this process, but there is a chance that I'm going to get disappointed again. There is a chance that I'm not going to find the answers that I'm looking for. And starting this whole process, what you really have to come to terms with and accepting is that even if I don't find my biological parents, I'm still gonna be me. So don't go to Korea and assume that you're gonna find the perfect family, you're gonna be happy, you're gonna feel like this was just what was missing in your whole life. There are so many different aspects to this whole process that you have no influence over. So being in a mental place also where you can accept and where you can live with these potential disappointments is super important also for your whole experience of going through this. So please keep that in mind also. Some of you might feel like this is gonna be what will fulfill you, what you've always missed your whole life. I think for hopefully majority of us, it's not that we feel like we necessarily are missing it, but that it would just be nice to see and experience what does it feel like actually to connect with someone who is biologically related to you. But if you are in a place where mentally you feel like you can take this on you and you want to, because obviously it's not everybody that wants to or have a need to do it, definitely go for it. And don't forget to contact me so we can see how we can share your story or how I can help you. Obviously, if you are adopted from Holt, like myself, I can help you a little bit more. I know where it is. I know the people and the process and everything. So if you have any questions regarding adoptions from Holt, please drop an email. The last tip, and this is more a tip for your own sake, I would really recommend that you invest some time in learning Korean. Why? First of all, not everybody speaks English in Korea, and they really appreciate when you do speak Korean. There's so many things that get lost in translation. And I can tell you this from experience because that's how it is, unfortunately, for me. I myself did not start this process, and I still haven't gotten to it. Although it is on my radar, but unfortunately, it just haven't been the right time. I haven't had time to prioritize it right now. And my dad is getting older, obviously. Maybe your parents or other family members are in this age where they don't really want to deal with all these modern tools. They want to just freely communicate. And then for the relationship building, it's just so much easier and better for you if you speak the language already, or you can understand a little bit of what they're saying. So this is more for your own sake, not only for your stay in Korea if you're planning on going back there. And it might also help you a little bit with gaining back some of your identity. So like I mentioned, it's not like this for everyone, but I know that for some of you, you might feel a little bit lost, a little bit in between, okay, I'm not Korean, but I'm also not Danish, for example. When people look at me, they say I'm Korean. When I go to Korea, I'm not Korean. So you kind of feel like in between, okay, but then what am I? And investing a little bit more in your culture of where you originate from might help you to fill that gap a little bit. I understand the culture now. I understand where I come from. I understand how Korean people act. This might help you also in your own, let's say, soul searching of whatever you're looking for. So for your own sake, I would really invest in this as well. It's really hard to give a step-by-step guide on what exactly to do because the outcome really depends on those two first steps, your preparation and your meeting. Anything else depends on if there even is anything else to do. If you do meet your parents, if you want to create a relationship with them, if you want to understand and all these things. And I think just a lot of this whole process is just mentally preparing yourself for the hard truth. You have to realize that being adopted is not always a fairy tale. You were adopted away for a reason. So don't expect to go back to Korea, find your perfect family who's all happy and healthy, to live a completely normal, above average life in Korea, have good education, and that you're gonna be happy finally and find yourself when you find your family. This is the best case scenario maybe for some of you. This is just not reality, and that's what you also kind of have to come to terms with. You were adopted away for a reason. If everything was just perfect, everybody were happy and healthy and had a good living standard, you wouldn't have been adopted away to begin with. So this is something else to keep in mind. Make sure that when you start this process, that you are ready to face those kind of confrontations and get those answers, because it can be anything. Some might have a better outcome than others, of course, and some might face real rejection, and that can hurt, and that's something that you need to be prepared for. So, I think that was it for this video. I really hope that your journeys are successful. And for those of you where it's unfortunately not successful, I still hope that it didn't ruin or shatter your whole world, because being adopted and being different is not everything you are. You are still you, you're still a person, and just because you're adopted doesn't mean that you are worth anything less than anybody else. So I really hope to hear from you guys. I'm so excited whenever anyone is sharing their story. And I would really appreciate it if anybody, and of course it's only if you want to, if you would like to also share your story, please do contact me. Maybe we can have you come on the channel and share your story. Maybe we can share a little bit also of what does it feel like to go through this whole process, and maybe we can help someone else who's on their journey. I will try to be a little bit more consistent with the content that I put out there. So also, if there's anything specifically, topics that you would like to know, I would love to share it with you in the comments. But I want to also put it in a video so that maybe more people who don't necessarily read the comments can benefit from this information. So that's all for this time. Thanks for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the next one. Bye!